8, 9, 10.
Sorry about the camera, man.
No, no, you're okay, man. All right, we're live. One. All right, we're live. Two. And we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Roots, Heart, and Soul. Uh, Today is a very special day for me because I have the opportunity to talk to a gentleman which I admire immensely. I'm going to say that Chef Todd, my brother and partner in crime, will be joining us in the middle of the show because, as chefs, sometimes we get last minute situations that happens. He is doing a cooking demo for our cookbook, Roots, Heart, and Soul. That was scheduled to be earlier, but now it was scheduled at 6:30, 7 o'clock. So Chef Todd will be joining us in the middle of the show, but I'm super excited. I'm super excited because this guy is uh, one of the most inspiring chefs I know. And the reason why I talk about him this way because um, the work that he has done specifically for his country, Senegal in West Africa, is what I've been doing the last 14 years for Haiti. So it's in Senegal and Haiti have a very special relationship, and we will talk more about that when we get into the conversation with Chef Pierre Thiam. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Chef Pierre Thiam to the stage. Yes,
Hey,
Chef
hey,
Pierre,
hey,
you
hey.
look like you're in a bundle, man.
I am
Uh,
in a bundle. I'm in the mountains in Lake Tahoe. Took the family on a
wow.
on a ski trip right now, and it's just been like crazy because I didn't realize I had to take this this show from my car right now. So it's
No,
a bit
that it's okay. It's okay. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so glad that we could get this opportunity to have you on the podcast. Hopefully, there will be other opportunities for us to bring you back and talk more about about your work and everything that you've been doing. And unfortunately, Chef Todd is doing a demo at this particular time, but he will be joining us and popping on the show as we are having this conversation.
sounds
So,
great.
how you been, my friend?
I miss you guys. I'm good. I'm good. Just like I said, I took a little break this past week and took the family on a ski trip actually, and it's in the Lake Tahoe. It's beautiful, lots of snow, beautiful lake, and taking a break, finding inspiration for the next phase. So I'm good, no complaint. The kids are
No,
keeping me busy.
well, I'm certainly excited to get a chance to talk to you. We haven't talked to each other in a while. We haven't seen
Hmm.
each other in a while. You've
Wow,
you've
yes,
moved. You've made the move to California. Um,
must.
we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna introduce you very quickly. Senegalese born chef, but based in California. Chef Pierre Thiam is a celebrated chef, restaurateur, award winning cookbook author with 4 books, and entrepreneur. More than that, he is a social activist renowned for bringing West African cuisine to the global stage. His critically acclaimed New York restaurant, Taranga, located in Harlem and in Midtown Manhattan, introduced healthy, fast casual fare directly sourced from farmers in West Africa. He is the founder of Yolele, which distributes African products across the USA introducing such ingredients like fonio, a resilient and nutritious ancient grain from the Sahel region of West Africa. Chef Pierre Thiam is mostly known by me and Chef Todd as mon frère, my brother. Um, and in Haiti as the king of Accra, which he makes with black eyed peas. In Haiti, we make Accra with malanga.
That's right.
And so, Chef Pierre, how's it been, man? What is California like?
California is beautiful, man. It's, as you know, the food is amazing. The produce are great. They have a great food culture here. It's far from the motherland, but it's the weather usually is nice. Usually, it's been a lot of rain lately, and it comes with its challenges. Luckily, I didn't have the fire that they had in Los Angeles, but no complaint.
I'm glad that you're safe, my friend. I'm glad that you're safe. So let's jump right into this conversation because there's so much to talk about. You have accomplished so many wonderful things and great things in the black and brown food space, but specifically, you've always stood your ground in promoting Senegal and West Africa, um, which is where you're from, and it means, I aspire and look up to you because of the work that you have done, and I have done some similar work with Haiti the last 14 years. Chef, you talk about advocacy. Um, what does that word mean in your world, and how you apply that to the work that you have done to put Senegal and West African cuisine on the world map?
Oh, that word means a lot. Advocacy for me is being an ambassador for your food culture, an ambassador for your culture, and that came to me in an organic way. When I first arrived in New York in the late '80s, early '90s, at the time, New York was already being called the food capital of the world, and that world, Africa was absent. It was really to me unacceptable that we talk about food of the world, and our food is not present, and when we know that our food has not only so much to say, and has influenced so many food cultures around the world. So that was for that reason that I decided as a young cook back then to just always keep it as my North Star. I find my inspiration in my food culture. I didn't want to become one of those chefs who just grow and become, someone who has been formatted to become a chef, fresh chef, a French chef, right? Like the classic, so-called classic. I wanted to say that we have our classics. I wanted to be a voice for my food. I knew that the wonderful flavors of, of of Dakar, the street food of Dakar is like all over West Africa. Togo, Benin women are selling in the streets. Those akara that you're talking about. They had a place in this food world, and they had a place in New York City in particular. So that's really what led me to just focusing on that and really respecting that tradition, and eventually led me to studying catering, opening restaurants, writing cookbooks, starting a company that has now products that are distributed across the US, and all of that for just one start with the realization that I wanted to be an advocate for my food culture. I wanted to be saying my story. I didn't want the story to be told by others. Just and this is the same for Haiti. This is the same for everywhere you go for our black food tradition. We have so much to say, and our food is the story itself. Our food, our plates, our bowls tells the story. So we need to, as chefs from that tradition, we need to be true custodian of that tradition to really truly keep that flame going, and tell the story for the next generation as it's been told to us by our ancestors. So that's really what it meant.
You talk about you just mentioned as a young cook coming to New York, not wanting to be completely molded into classic a classic chef with French with French cooking or international cuisine. Yet you know you still went through some very big routes, being the chef at some top restaurants in New York, um, but yet you still stay true to your culture, to your food ways, um, and finally you get the opportunity to open your own place, Taranga. Tell me what was it like first of all to get to that point, um, but also what it meant to you to finally have a place where you can really tell the story of Senegal, of West Africa, through the cuisine. What was it? What was that experience like for you?
I experienced it spanned from that time, that moment where I realized that it deserved to be, and I thought I could play a role and just inspire others to also come and join and because it's gonna require movement. It's not gonna be one chef doing this. It's gonna require movement, and the movement has to transcend not only space and time, but wherever we have been, wherever our people have been, our food has been there in a very creative way. It's very resilient cuisine. So you see our food when you go to Haiti, you see our food when you go to Brazil, and this really was something that I really knew this was the way I had to go. Even though I was working in those so-called classic restaurants, I say so-called because they're classics, but we also have our classics. So with much respect to those cuisines, it's good to have those foundations as well as yours. So then you have an advantage to others because you have your cuisine and you have the other foundation. But so Teranga is a process. My very first restaurant actually was in 2000, started in 2000 in Brooklyn, Yolele. Yolele, which is the name of my food company now, the CPG, but Yolele was also the name of my first restaurant, and then Le Grand Dakar, and then Teranga, and then second Teranga. So that was a process. So all of that really was so key to this journey. Really, every single restaurant was a way to like have a stronger presence and just give me the belief and realizing how all along the way my ancestors were there with me, because you know how our food is passed upon from generation to but that's just so important to have that, and that I took with me, and that was my, in a sense, my talisman that really kept me going. And every restaurant that opened was a blessing. And when I turned that door, closed the door, that was another blessing that I could see at the moment it was closing for the next stage. And it always took me to the next stage without failure.
Wow. You talk about Yolele, but before we get to this amazing company that you started, and the products that you're not only bringing from West Africa to the U.S. for distribution, but some of the products that some of the products that you've developed with Yolele, as products that people can actually buy in the supermarkets. I want to talk to you about being a cookbook author. I have the privilege of owning two of your books. One that is signed, one that is personally signed by you, um, which I have to say that that book inspired me quite a bit when I opened this restaurant in Orlando last year, where we wanted to celebrate the cuisine of the African diaspora.
Mm,
So one of the dishes that I took from your book was the African vegetable stew, which
mm,
is very similar to our vegetable stew in Haiti, called legumes. Um,
mm,
very some variation in terms of the ingredients, Because you used black eyed peas in yours, and so forth. But and whereas we were staying with the chayote and the aubergine,
Mm,
and cabbage. That's what makes our legume, which is an amazing dish. So I took the idea of the Haitian legume and mixed it up with the idea of your African vegetable stew, to come up with with a really crazy dish that did very well at the restaurant. Um, the second book that I own from you is this one.
Senegal. Yes.
It is such an amazing book. So tell me, writing this book, writing these books, because Senegal and the cuisine of West Africa, your last book, which I love very much. Um,
Thank you.
w- how important was it for you not only to write these books, um, but to also but and then what was the vision, and what impact did you want to make in those projects?
So these books, in particular this one, Senegal, was truly I wanted it to be a love letter to Senegal, really. It really was for me an opportunity to take the reader to the next step. That was my second cookbook. The first cookbook was introducing the audience to the food that I grew up eating, my mom's food, my grandma's food. So I had traveled with a photographer, and we spent time with my family at home and with my family's relatives in the village in the south of Senegal, and that was what the book was about. And that was the food also I was serving at the restaurant. But so the next books, this one Senegal, I thought it wasn't complete unless I tell them where that food was coming from. Not just what I was eating, but where was that food coming from? Who are the farmers behind the food? Who are the fishermen? Who are those producers, those humble people that we never hear about, right? So that was how I convinced the publisher that I had to travel through Senegal, through the deep rural areas and spend time with them and have a profile of each one of them. That I would select the women farmers, the fishermen, and give them a name and a face, and spend time with the photographer. We went with a world class photographer, Evan Sung, actually, who's like in terms of cookbook photography, he's a top one. I mean, we had such a great time crisscrossing Senegal and telling the stories and see the women harvesting rice in the south of Senegal in Casamance, because people don't know that the south of Senegal has an ancient tradition of rice growing, and that's that tradition of rice that actually was taken to the Americas through the Middle Passage, and so that connecting those dots and showing how those women harvest the rice, and it's hard work, but they do it in the spirit of community, and they actually sing when they're in the rice field. This hard work, the singing, give them the soul to really like make this hard work, bring joy into this hard work. So that was something that came through the book. This woman Aya Njai in this most remote part of Senegal also doing fonio. That was also another part of the book I was highlighting. Another part of the book talking about this fisherman and spend time. He comes from an old tradition of fishermen, fishing village. His name is Usman. And this guy is telling us that he's not going to want his son to go fishing anymore. And I'm like, how can you disrupt this thing that's been happening for thousands of years? It's like, because there's no more fish. Now all our waters is being depleted by big boats coming from the west. So you have these big tanks from China, from Spain, coming and depleting these guys' water. And so that tells you, that brings food, cookbook now becomes political. And this cookbook also tells you the story, because like I was telling you earlier, Stefan, is every single dish tells you a story. And you look at the dish, the national dish from Senegal, and obviously there's lots of recipes in the book. So this one, the national dish of Senegal, which is chebujan, is rice. It's the original jollof rice. You heard of jollof rice, right? But in Senegal,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
And in Senegal, they make chebujan with this broken rice. It looks like couscous. And there's a reason why we make this chebujan with broken rice. What's stunning is the rice is not, we don't use the rice from those women in the south of Senegal, the rice that I showed you that was taken to the America. We import the rice from Southeast Asia because during colonial times, the French, who were also colonizing Vietnam, Indochina at the time, they took what was the broken rice, which was the leftover rice from the Vietnamese, and the Vietnamese had it for animal feed, and the French took it and brought it to Senegal so that the Senegalese farmers wouldn't focus on growing their own rice or their own fonio or their own millet. They
Oh
wanted the
wow.
farmers. It's amazing. And that story, you wouldn't know that if you don't listen to the dish that's you eating right now. This dish telling you why we importing broken rice, why we using this substandard rice instead of using the rice that we have in the south, that rice that became the biggest part of the economy in the Americas, the Carolina gold that they called it. You know, that rice that we have in Haiti, that rice that we have in Brazil, in Mexico. That's the rice that came from the southern Senegal. But in Senegal, because of colonization, we didn't add value to the rice. We started to import rice that started with French colonials. And today, because of that habit and that colonial mindset, we still import that rice. And some people are making tons of money from it. And we make a delicious dish with it, but it's not supporting our agriculture, it's not supporting our economy. So there's details like this that you see throughout the book, and beautiful stories, time spent with the monks, a small monks communities in Senegal who grow their own food, who doing things the right way. That I wanted the book to inspire others to get back to that, rely on our own soil to nourish ourselves, because Africa is a net food importer. So, it doesn't make sense when Africa is such a rich continent with so much food that's underutilized, because and we still stuck in that design from
Right.
colonial times that still
Correct.
make us dependent on imports, and we import wheat. We don't grow wheat, but you go across Dakar, you'll see baguette bread and croissants, and we don't grow wheat. So why don't we have those things made out of our own millet and fonio? So, go figure. But that's really why I thought, we are not just cooks, we are storytellers, and we should also be stewards of the future and inspire people to see a different world based on what our tradition was from. It has to be a continuum. Our ancestors have brought these things, they have domesticated these crops, they have taught us these recipes, and that's our mission to take it to the next level. But most importantly, to make sure they don't disappear. And so much have been disappearing, so much. And so food is like a powerful medium that we need to realize. It's not just a simple recipe. It's much more than that. And
You
that's
know,
what
it's
the
funny. It's funny that you're talking about the story of rice in Senegal in this importation of broken rice from Vietnam to Africa, because we have a similar story in Haiti.
mm,
The rice, the very high quality of rice that was being grown in Haiti, at a certain point got destroyed, with the Clinton Foundation
mm,
bringing rice from Arkansas,
mm,
the overproduced
that's
rice
right.
from Arkansas, and bringing it to Haiti, and that has, almost destroyed the production
Yeah,
of local rice, which is such a beautiful product.
but,
Is such an amazing product, and it almost wiped out the production of rice in Haiti completely. And then you had rice coming from Taiwan, then you had rice coming from Vietnam, and all of a sudden, the price of the this beautiful product that's being grown in Haiti skyrocketed to the point
Yeah.
where no, no, nobody in Haiti can afford it.
There we go.
So it's just easier to just buy the rice that's being imported. Um, you know, I had the chance to listen to your TED talk.
Mm,
Um, what an amazing story and conversation you had in doing this event. As a matter of fact, I'm so inspired by what you had done with TED Talk that I would love to do one myself, and
you need to.
discuss the story of Haiti through
Mm,
food. One of the most important points that is specific, one of the specific topics you brought into this TED Talk was about fonio, and the
mm-hmm,
fact that it is a super grain. It's a grain that could eradicate hunger in Africa.
mm, mm, mm.
Now, this conversation is worth having, and it is so important for people to hear it because I talk about white millet as a super grain as well, that is grown in Haiti, but is seen as a sort of a substandard product that very few people want to eat until I make risotto with white millet, and everybody is asking me what are they eating,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit about this product called fonio, and the importance of it, not only as a product coming from West Africa, but the fact that it could help to eradicate hunger around the world.
Yes, chef. Before you go any further, I commend you for doing this with white millet because it's very important that we don't do fonio alone cannot solve the problem. It has to be done in a way that also supports that tradition of agriculture that's like rotational, that multi-cropping. The big danger is monoculture. That's been the big danger. And fonio, just like white millet, is never grown in a monocultural way. It's grown by small farmers to begin with. So those small farmers, they're among the poorest one in the world. And yet they have products like fonio. Fonio is the oldest cultivated grain in Africa. And not only is it's resilient, it can grow in poor soil like the Sahel region where I'm from, which is south of the Sahara Desert, an area that's dry and arid, but fonio is drought resistant. So that's very important because water is becoming more and more precious, and it's going to be even further down the road. So that was important that we think of what's going to feed us in the near future when we're going to hit 10 billion people on this planet. How are we going to feed ourselves since we have a food system that's not sustainable? And the solutions are in grains like fonio and white millet and sorghum and all those others that only the smallholder farmers in our regions are growing. So how do we figure out a way to support them? Because not only they by supporting them and increasing their production, we are also doing something amazing for the environment because of climate change. The environment is like now we have inconsistent rains, and we need grains that are also as resilient to these changes. And grains like fonio that matures in 2 months, one of the fastest maturing grain. So that's really where we chefs play a role because we've been brainwashed. Our mentality, that was part of the colonial design. We've been brainwashed to think of our own products as substandards, as you said. Our own products, we look down upon them. But when you come and you make a nice risotto with the white millet, people are like, oh, wait a minute. Now it's delicious. In addition to being delicious, it's much more nutritious than the arboreal rice. So that's how now the story is different because not only you using your own product from your agriculture, you're supporting your own agriculture and your small farmers. You have economic opportunity that you bring, and you're doing something amazing for the environment. And the consumer is good for his health because you know what the problem is, our health is also affected by this limited diet that the food system has imposed upon us. So if we start to like diversify our diet by introducing grains like white millet and fonio into our food, into our system, you know what happens? These imported diseases that we have been bringing that didn't exist not that long ago. It's just like the past 100 years when we changed the food system, like diabetes, cholesterol levels that are going crazy out of order, and the heart and obesity and all of that. Does those disappear because they are directly linked to this diet? So we have our health is better, our environment is better, and our economy is better. So it's a triple win. And this is where we have to think of ourselves as like this thing, this war. I'm calling it a war because it's a war. This war, we need to fight it, and we need to fight it with our talent. As chefs, we need to make sure these grains are desirable. We need to use the inspiration that we've had from the tradition, and bring it in the forefront. And this is something we need to do with a sense of a mission. Is so important. When you realize that the Clintons have brought this imported rice into your country because the rice was supporting the Arkansas farmers, because that and that's crazy. Not only it's this the overproduction of that rice that's creating the depleting of their soil. You know that the Arkansas farmers don't have a soil anymore. Their topsoil is being depleted, and this is the result of monoculture. But then they have this, they subsidize that rice. The farmers now have a market because the Haitians are going to eat it. And the Haitian, because it's subsidized rice, it's cheap rice. It becomes cheaper than the rice than or the millet that you guys produce. And what happens now? Your economy is getting the stranglehold, and we're in trouble. And that's just the same story that repeats itself over and over.
Absolutely,
And that's
absolutely,
food. And
absolutely. We are, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the 30 minutes, 30 minutes halftime of Roots, Heart and Soul with Chef Stephan and Chef Todd Richards. Um, Chef Todd Richards unfortunately could not join us tonight for this amazing conversation um, hosted by Heritage Radio Network. Um, and we are live having this amazing conversation with one of the world renowned chefs. First he's a chef first, then he's an African chef, um, uh, who has represented his not only his country Senegal, but also all of West Africa, through the work that he's been doing as a professional chef. Um, Talking about continuing to talk about fonio, you created this company called Yolele, um, and I've had the pleasure of ordering some of your products to try fonio on Amazon specifically. Let's talk a little bit about the company, the vision behind the company, what you want to accomplish with the work that you've been doing with Yolele, and where would you like to take it um, in the next phase, if you will.
so this again happened organically as I was writing my cookbooks and writing recipes for my cookbooks. I was always scratching myself to think of substitutions for some of the ingredients that were not accessible to my audience here. And I thought, why should we substitute them? Why shouldn't we figure out a way to bring these ingredients to market? Because these ingredients need to access to market for them to stay alive, actually. And that will really make the cuisine much more authentic by bringing the right ingredients. So eventually, I was like, if I'm going to bring ingredients here, I need to make sure these ingredients have not only an impact on the environment and a positive impact on the environment, but they also have a positive impact of those small farmers who've been growing them for thousands of years and never had access to market. They were doing it in a subsistent way. So we need to support them, work with them, contract them, and that's what your Lele is about. Your Lele started with Fonyo, and and now we are marketed ready for an African ingredient, for an African crop. You know why? It's really, even in Africa, it's hard to find a market for this crop. And we're like, it's about branding. We knew we had to do the correct branding and tell the story. And once you do the correct branding and tell the story, we were sure to win. So we went to Pentagram, which is a branding design, one of the top out there, and luckily they had worked on my first book, the design of my first book, so I had an access there, and they heard the story and they were like, sure, we'll brand it with you. And we branded it, and we knocked at the door at Whole Foods supermarket. They were opening next to my first restaurant, to my Harlem restaurant. And they said, sure, we'll give you a shelf as long as it stays on the shelf. So for me, for the food to stay on the shelf, my first product, it was just plain fonio grains. We had to make sure we go to the supermarket, we do food tastings and food demos like what Chef Todd is doing right now. And every time you do it, the products would fly off the shelves every time you do it. And Whole Foods noticed that this was a product that the customers desired. And they became our first big champions. So they pushed us to have our products in all the Whole Foods. Today we are distributed across the United States at Whole Foods. And all the supermarkets have started joining in too. So we have Target, we have Sprouts, we have all the supermarkets now. And we started adding other products from not only Fonio. I wanted to diversify and bring the tradition of those recipes. So I started to add Fonio pilafs that customers could go at Whole Foods and buy the jollof fonio and just make it in 5 minutes, because it cooks in 5 minutes, right? And they can make it at home. They could live in Arizona or in Florida or wherever, and that's really a way to have an impact. And eventually, we went from the grains to like making snacks for the people who are still intimidated by cooking, but they could find themselves in desire of a snack that's healthy and good for them and good for the planet. So we have fonio chips now. We have different fonio chips flavors that you can find in the supermarket. And now the story now is starting to make sense. People are listening to it. We're having great media attention. I mean, amazing media attention from this branding. And we said next step is to introduce the ingredient into other industries so that other industries who are much bigger can also contract the farmers, get the fonio, and introduce it as an ingredient in their products. So the brewery industry is the first one we started with. We started working with wonderful master brewer Garrett Oliver from Brooklyn Brewery, and we decided to make fonio beer. And it turns out he makes an amazing beer.
Wow.
His inspiration was that was just like that. His inspiration was like, there's an old tradition of beer making in Africa, and we need to support it. So we started
We're having a little,
and
go ahead, chef.
and that inspired him to bring other breweries in this movement. And we have today what we call brewing for impact, and we have breweries like Guinness has.
Wow.
Oh, it's amazing. Guinness has a fonio beer. Carlsberg is making
We're having a little technical difficulty, ladies and gentlemen. You know, chef is in the mountains, so we apologize for the cutoffs, but I think we're doing pretty good. Go ahead, chef.
okay. I'm sorry about it. And yeah, so
No,
we
no, it's
have about
okay.
we have a dozen breweries around the world. We have in China, there's a brewery making fonio beer. Japan, Kirin is about to launch fonio beer. They placed their first order. They're gonna make a fonio beer that's coming out in 27, but they're starting the R&D right now. So it's great. Now you see that the impact is much bigger when industries that order fonio by the thousands of tons, and who are like also we even did a documentary about the brewery, the impact of the brewery. We traveled, Garrett and I, to Senegal, and we went all the way to the small farmers and showed the process all the way to the brewery, to the beer. And the beer is just like being just an amazing story. And now we want to push the other industries, the big industries, Nestle, Kellogg's. They all have a fonio beer a need for grains. They all can play a role in making a planet better, and they know now that their customers are ready for to diversify their diet. They're ready for grains like fonio. And fonio, like I said, is just the beginning. It's a miracle grain, but it's a miracle that we need to make it happen. And we need to make it happen for the white millet. We need to make it happen for the sorghum, the amaranth, and all those grains that are otherwise could be disappearing. There are so many grains, thousands have disappeared already. Thousands. We have lost 90% of the biodiversity of the planet, and all that happened in the past 100 years. So that's
Wow.
really a scary time, and the solutions are here it's offered to us by these underutilized crops that are out there that are good for us and good for the planet. And
You know,
so this is another.
it's funny that you're sharing this amazing story and specifically talking about Fonio because I discovered that Prestige, which is owned by Heineken now, Heineken has bought the complete rights to Bière Prestige, which is in
Mm,
Haiti, and
mm,
Prestige is made with white millet.
awesome.
And
Awesome.
you know, and I discovered that through conversation, and I was so excited about the whole idea because I am such a big fan of white millet as a grain and as an ingredient, and the fact that it's such a you know, such so nutritious and has so many different nutritional values. Um, so how exciting that you've been able to take Yolele and a grain like fonio that is being grown by small local farmers in Africa, and now has have you've brought it to the Western world, and it is being utilized not only in beer, but you're making different products with it. This is exciting. I'm even more inspired um, by this, and that really excites me because I really want to get into the production of products that I can really showcase and tell the story of Haiti, which is such a beautiful story. Um, to the rest of the world. Um,
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an ongoing battle though, because now that you create the demand, the danger is even bigger because you want to make sure that at the supply side, the small farmers can supply now. The demand is growing. You know, imagine so you're going from a brand your lily now to like going from distributing, providing fonio as an ingredient to breweries to other industries, then you have to make sure that your small farmers are equipped and are trained and they have the capacity to grow the fonio at the demand that the market needs. And so that's the challenge is in the process because a lot of these products they have a high post-harvest waste, close to
right.
50% of post-harvest waste. And that's due to like the inefficient processing. There's still a lot of manual that's involved. So you need to innovate and bring like a way to like mechanize the processing so that you can scale as the demand grow. You can scale. You build a mill and you build another mill and so on and so forth. And that's really where we were because fonio was a challenging one. Fonio is like a tiny grain that's easy to grow, but it's difficult to turn into food because you need to remove the skin that's inedible, and traditionally it's done with a mortar and pestle, and so
Wow.
it won't work for the big orders. So we had to innovate and bring a mill for specifically these grains, and for these not only fonio because again it's not just about fonio, but we had to think of the other crops that are in the region so that we can bring them to market at the same time and think about the processing ahead of time so that there's no disruption. If there's a disruption on the market, you may lose it to like all the big industries, big agriculture that could come and take the grain away from you and start growing it in Texas and in Montana, and you don't want that. That's when you lose
No,
yeah.
no, we certainly don't want that to happen because
That's exactly.
we want the product to be to come from where it was originally born. Um, Before I get into this question that I'm going to ask you, um, obviously our journeys, if you will. Uh, I had the amazing opportunity to meet you, but to also invite you for a visit to Haiti to participate in my food and wine festival that I've been doing since 2011. Um, and what an amazing experience it was for me, but also to watch you prepare one of the favorite dishes that we have in Haiti with black eyed peas. What was that experience for you coming to Haiti, seeing Haiti for your with your own eyes, and participating in the Food and Wine Festival? What was that like for you? What did it mean for you?
Mm,
And I can tell you that your demo and your food has made his stamp. Um, eh, you know, chefs that were invited to the festival that year that you were there are still having that conversation.
mm. Oh man, you don't even know. This was meaningful in so many ways to me. See, growing up, I grew up in Senegal. And in Senegal, when you grow up there and you go to that school system, Haiti has a special place. We have Haiti as a reference. We know that Haiti is the country that led our freedom. All of us. We don't we studied that history, and we're lucky because we happen to have a president who was also very connected at the time. Our founding father Senghor, he was very connected with Haitian culture. So there was a play. I grew up with this play that was very popular, La Tragédie du Roi Christophe. It's like it was a famous play in Senegal. Everyone who from my generation who have been to the school system. So we had that awareness of the importance of Haiti. And for me, I'm now in this food journey, and that food journey is about connecting with my tradition. And that tradition, obviously, is the tradition of the ancestors. And knowing that this food is about liberation as well. Because there's one thing that another person I admire, Sankara, said, when you look at your plate and your plate is not produced by your farmers. What's in your plate is not coming from you, it's imported. You will never be independent. So that from that
Wow,
approach to food. Oh yeah, oh that was powerful. And now I'm
that's
invited.
very powerful.
Indeed. And now this chef Stefan invites me to Haiti. I'm like, damn, this is like this is the ancestors, man. This was a trip that I will always remember. I was coming to Haiti with a complete. Uh, I was wait. Everything could happen. My guards were down. I was like, I'm just gonna come and embrace the blessings, and the blessings was at every moment. I could never forget when you took us to the market. And I was like, damn, I thought I was in Senegal. It was just the beauty, the women, the way they dress, the way they move, the way everything, and the food, obviously. It was our food, and I was like, what do you mean this is called? Uh, I mean, it's just funny. You have akara here. You have, how do you call it, that powder again? Oh my goodness. Uh, it's gonna come back. I mean, I had this debate in the market talking to this woman. And I was like, "God, this is amazing. This is like, we transcend. I mean, the Middle Passage didn't stop our culture. That just tells you how powerful our culture is,
How
and we
powerful it is.
and,
Yes.
and it reinvents itself in such creative way. You know, it's like we have to keep this going, and we know we're going to be supported no matter what. You know, if you intentionally go this way, and Haiti, every turn never failed, every turn. And I had, you know, because I had the privilege of having known the history, having read great writers, knowing about amazing places like Jacmel, you know, Port-au-Prince, all of that, you know, by just being open to that culture, it really made it special for me. And I'm so happy to hear from you that they appreciated, you know, my
Oh, oh,
it's really
by it was truly memorable, but it was memorable for me because I got to meet I got to meet you. We got to be even more connected than the first time we met, and
mm,
and 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 you became part of my family.
indeed.
You know, today I'm so proud to call you mon frère, my brother.
Mon frère.
Chef, we are at 5 minutes from the end of the hour on Heritage Radio Network with the show Roots, Heart, and Soul with Chef Stephan and Chef Todd. Um, Tell our audience, if you will, share with our audience where they can follow you, what's next on your agenda, what next on your program for 2025, um, and how they can also connect with you, you know, to get more information about the work that you're doing.
So I have a website, piacham.com, first and last name.com. So on social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Chef Piacham, and LinkedIn as well. So most of those platforms, TikTok, so those platforms you can really stay informed about the work that I'm doing. Right now, immediate work coming up. We have a documentary that's coming up. Actually, a new show that's going to be on Amazon, and the first episode is similar to what I did with Anthony Bourdain when we did Parts Unknown. So the film crew right now is in Senegal. We did a part, a trailer that was announced, that was presented last month at Sundance Festival. It's very exciting because it's really a different approach to. Thank you, thank you. It's called the Envoy. So look out for that. And yeah, so it's exciting. Again, I'm just following this journey in a way that's like wherever it's leading me. I'm excited to go. I'm embracing it. And again, and you, I commend you because Roots, Heart, and Soul is really what we must do. We must be the one who tell our stories, you know, and the media, the way we're doing it, the podcast is so important. We need to be doing it for ourselves. There's and I love the title, Roots, Heart, and Soul, man. I mean, that's
Well,
the
Roots, Heart, and Soul is the title of Chef Todd Richards' second book.
yes, I saw it.
So the podcast is inspired by the book,
Awesome.
and I was very fortunate to be on the research team working with Chef Todd on this
Mm,
book for you know for the Caribbean in particular, and he dedicated a couple of pages of that book to me, and I'm also managing his book tour. So
awesome.
we're gonna be in New York at the end of the month of
Mm.
February, on the 28th of February, for a huge talk
Oh yeah,
at the
Teranga.
Lincoln Center,
Okay.
hosted by Creole Food Festival. Um,
Oh,
so
love it.
this is gonna be super exciting. So we're gonna be in New York at the end of the month for this beautiful talk and book tour. So Chef Pietiam, I cannot tell you how much um, you know I appreciate the fact that you took the time to come on the podcast, even during your vacation time in the mountains. I hope that we get to have another conversation with you with Chef Todd right next to me
Yes,
As he's you know how much he loves you as well.
I love my
Um,
brother, man. Love you guys, man. Yeah, let's
okay.
do it again, man. And I want
We
me.
will definitely do it again. We will definitely do it again. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of episode 23, season 2 of Roots, Heart and Soul, with our guest, our special guest, Chef Pierre Thiam. We want to thank him for joining us. If you want to continue to watch that episode, if you missed the episode and you want to watch it fully, you can check us out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Roots, Art, and Soul podcast. You will find us on YouTube, and you can also listen to us, of course, with at Heritage Radio Network. You can listen to the audio version of the podcast, and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, I'm missing my partner in crime, Chef Todd Richards, but this is going to be. We still had. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation with world-renowned chef Pierre Thiam, and thank you for joining us for this hour. And we hope that to continue seeing you and continue to support this project, Roots, Art, and Soul. And if you're in New York, please make sure that you come by and get a book from us. You will adore the book, and of course you can also check out Chef Pierre Thiam's books on Amazon. He's got 4 amazing books. I own 2 of them. I'm looking forward to having the other 2, um, because those books are such an amazing thing. Thank you for joining us tonight on Roots, Heart, and Soul on Heritage Radio Network. I bid you all good night. See you guys next week, next Tuesday.
See you next week.
Chef Pierre, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Merci, mon frère.